Ladies and gentlemen, today we have Lisa N. Edwards, a prolific crypto trader and a creator in her own right with a crypto screenplay of her own in the works. And Lisa is here to talk about crypto trading and the Covesting platform offered on the PrimeXBT exchange, who is actually today's sponsor. Lisa, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know we want to focus in on the Covesting
hmm
platform, but I did first want to ask you how you got into trading yourself and what to you is the most important thing a beginner trader in crypto especially would have to know.
Yeah, so I got into trading a long, long time ago by accident. So somebody came into KFC. They said, I was telling him how I'd won a maths award
Hmm.
in Australia here, and he's like, "You would be a really smart girl. Let's get you into trading." So,
Cool.
handed me a card, and against my mum's sort of, best interest, I rang him, and yeah, he introduced me to trading and how to do that. And back then, it was vastly different to crypto trading is now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyone getting into crypto trading, it's a highly volatile asset,
Hmm.
and you need money management. Even with the best money management, you can still lose a lot of money. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And I think that is the thing that, in this space especially, I think it's very important to find is to find traders that have experience and can help instill that idea of money management early on. I think,
Yeah.
and that's something at least that I've been trying to learn, as someone who doesn't necessarily come from a trading background is how to get into it in a less risky manner in a safe way and build those good habits, I think, up front.
Yeah. So even I know a lot of hodlers in the space, and
Hmm.
obviously with the all-time high, 2017, and then going into the bear market in 2018, had and many of those people had stop losses. A lot of
Hmm.
them would still have a lot of money today, but
Hmm.
they're kind of recouping their gains with this new sort of bull market we're going into. But having money management and having all of that back then, and knowing that now, a lot of them are starting to just break even and make some money. But it's the most important thing that you can have, especially in a hot crypto in a highly volatile market.
Totally, totally. And so I guess in an effort to learn that, I mean, I don't personally come from a trading background. I'm a tech person, but having
Yeah.
started digging into and committing to learning how to trade effectively, especially in this space, you almost can't avoid it. I really see the value in learning from more seasoned traders who I can see are performing well in the market, and in some ways, I can replicate their strategies to help learn from them. So I suppose that's what the co-vesting platform on Prime XBT is kind of about, right? Can you give folks the lowdown on
Yeah.
that?
So Covesting is this amazing platform where you can come on, and there's a plethora of traders to choose from. So they each give their strategies. Some are sort of like high margin, fast percentage trades. And
Hmm.
but with that, there's also big losses. So you
Yeah.
need to sort of look at those. And yeah, so and then you've got the ones that are slow and steady, sort of wins the race. You've got the scalpers that just make small trades every day. Then you've got like the larger day traders, which is what I do,
Hmm.
where you're in sort of a bigger trade for a longer period. And with co-vesting, so you can go in and out of that person's trade, and you can sort of scalp their trade while they're making money,
Hmm.
or you can sit in the trade and you can let them do all the work. There's so many different ways that you can do it in the back end of the platform there, like as like a co-vestor that's backing a big name trader. So
Hmm.
there's also a Telegram group that lets you know all about the traders as well. So
Hmm.
breaks down who the traders are, what their strategies are, and you can go in there and you can ask some questions and that sort of stuff as well, and find out all of that stuff. And the guys in the Telegram group that run that from PrimeXBT, and they can tell you everything that you need to know about fees, about how it works, and yeah, it's kind of it's a really cool thing. So a lot of the big exchanges are bringing this in at the moment,
Yeah.
and where like a novice person can come in and potentially make some money on the back of a bigger trader.
Got it. Got it. So I guess in a sense, it's almost like, you're replicating exactly what this particular trader or traders plural are doing on the
Yeah.
platform using, your resources, right?
Yeah, so you can go on there and you don't just have to follow me. You can
Hmm.
follow, up to, I think, up to 10 traders if you want to spread your
Got it.
money across that. So you just put the percentage that you want to back that trader. And yeah, so you've got one BTC and you
Hmm.
put zero point 0.1 BTC with 10 different traders and you spread your risk across that. And that's a really good way of doing it, actually, because, if
Gotcha.
one's got bigger percentages and they've got sort of more risk, then you've got somebody else that's got smaller risk, so you're sort of mitigating that risk across those 10 traders.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's a great point because I think, there are people who know this very intimately, but you go onto an exchange with little experience and no knowledge of risk management or money management, and especially when you start using things like leverage, where you're putting a multiplier on your gains and your losses, people can see their entire portfolio evaporated in seconds, and that's something
Yeah.
that I personally would love to help people avoid doing.
Yeah, exactly. So you can sit there and you can watch the traders and you can watch their progress. So,
Hmm.
if somebody's not doing well, like when I first got onto the platform, I over, sort of, it was crazy. So it's a different platform to what anyone's used to using when you're getting onto margin trades, and then you've got to
Yeah,
allow slippage and you've got to allow all these different things. So even the most seasoned trader has troubles at times. So
definitely.
nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so I guess when you look at the co-vesting platform on PrimeXBT, is there some sort of process, or I'm not even going to say a vetting process, but who can become a sort of an investor that people can follow on the platform? Can anyone do it, or is it something that there's a process in place to apply?
Yeah, no, at the moment anyone can do it. So that's why I'm saying, spread your risk
Hmm.
and watch what they're doing, and that way you understand sort of what you're investing in.
Hmm.
You always want to know what you're investing in. You want to do some research on what all the people are doing, what their positions are going to be, and kind of how they trade. So that's the best way of making a decision who you're going to put your money behind on the platform.
Got it. Got it. And to that end, I think one of the main value props here is that on social media, on Twitter and YouTube as well, I think there's a prevalence of people who show their wins and not their losses, and there's not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
transparency into trades. And I know that you've talked about this online. I've seen your some of your tweets and things about it. Um, but on this platform, I would presume that there's a pretty high level of transparency into both ends of the spectrum for these traders.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the very few traders on Twitter that actually shows my wins and losses. So a lot of people will delete tweets and will sort of,
Yeah.
cover that up. Going onto a platform like Covesting, there's my name's on there. You've got to be wary as well. So there are traders on there that don't disclose their name. So you want to know
Hmm.
sort of what their strategy is. But yeah, you do see all their wins and losses. I'm very public with my wins and losses on Twitter, and I'll tell
Yeah.
people if my stop loss gets hit. It's like, I got it wrong, guys. My stop loss got hit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just part of trading. It's like you're not going to win every trade. There's a rule: if you're winning at least 50% of the trades with good money management over time, you're going to be in big profits. So and this
Yeah.
is what people sort of don't understand. Like, you might win three trades in a row, then lose five trades.
Yeah.
But those trades that you're winning potentially have bigger, percentages. So because with money management, you're going to be losing smaller amounts.
Right. Right. So it's like it's being careful about your your overall risk per trade, right? Because if you get
Mm-hmm.
hit on one where you've overextended on a trade that doesn't pan out, then you're not going to be doing so hot, right? It's almost
Yeah.
about learning how to adequately mitigate losses rather than just simply making profitable trades.
Yeah. So
Got it. So,
yeah, and you've got to remember that trading's a marathon and it's not a race.
mhm.
So but even so, with that said, going on and splitting your funds and backing some of these, you know, bigger sort of trades that, you know, go crazy on the margin. So, and knowing what you're doing and pulling your money in and out of these people, then you're going to make money. So that's another thing
Yeah.
you can do. You can sort of play around with the platform and do that. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you can almost use it like I guess mechanically. Obviously, it's not the same in terms of the risk profiling, but mechanically,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like investment mix on like a retirement savings plan. You go and you pick
It is. It
some of the
is.
yeah. It's really interesting.
Yeah. And then not on Covesting, but on the PrimeXBT site, they've got another thing called Turbo. So, and this is really fun. So
Hmm.
Turbo, you can go in and you can just, you know, bet. It'll give you 5, 10, 15 seconds, and you say in that 10 seconds, I bet it's going to go up.
Interesting.
And yeah, if it goes up, you win that amount of money. If it goes down, you obviously lose that amount of money. So it's kind of like playing roulette, and you're going red or black,
Yeah,
but it's a bit of fun. So if you
it's
think
like
you,
rapid
yeah,
options.
it is, and you can, if you know which way the market's going in that moment, you can
Hmm.
make quite a bit of money on there. So yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know
but
about that. That's wild.
yeah, it's wild and it's quite addictive. So, you know, I need to say, when I say that you're using this, never invest more than you're willing to lose,
Yeah, yeah.
because yeah, you can lose very quickly on the Turbo platform, but it is a very fun thing to do as well when you're bored.
Yeah, I think knowing the things that you have access to, some people will be, interested in different types of trading and will understand different types of trading, and I guess in some senses it's almost like gambling. And
Mm,
so, you know, when you look at all the different options that are out there, it's good that people understand what's out there so that they're not trying to force themselves into something they're not
yeah.
necessarily that interested in.
Exactly, exactly. A lot of the platforms have test nets as well, so that's another way to get on there.
Hmm.
It's not as realistic as using a small amount of money, because when you've got money involved or Bitcoin involved, you
Hmm.
know, there's this emotion that goes with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're just paper trading on a test net, it's sort of, you know, you get onto the real platform and then it's like,
Then
oh,
it's real. Then you
and
have that
it's real.
emotional element. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I learned about stock trading on like one of those fake platforms where you get a certain amount of money and you follow the real market metrics, but it's not your real money.
Yeah.
But it's so much different when you start using your real money because it's like all the trades, the risks I'm willing to take are different.
Yeah, they are. And that's why I always say, you know, if you're willing to get on there and you start with a small amount of money, because if you can't trade with a small amount of money, you can't trade with a big amount of money. So
So glad you
you,
said that. Yeah.
yeah, so get on there with this small amount of money and, you know, practice, because it is going to be very different to using a test net. But a test net is a good way to understand how the platform works
Hmm.
as well.
And so where can folks find, are there any good, testnet versions of different trading platforms that you've used yourself or that you would recommend for folks to try out?
Yeah, so BitMEX is probably the best test net that you can use. So it's testnet.bitmex.com. So
Okay.
jump on that one. It gives you an overall like idea of how margin trading works, and then you can jump onto Prime. So yeah, and then you'll know what you're doing. You'll know how the margin works. You'll know what the percentages are, and yeah, it makes it easy for you.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I haven't used the BitMEX testnet very much myself, but I'll have to jump on it and give it some some love for sure.
Yeah, give it some love, definitely.
Awesome. And so one of the last things that I really wanted to touch on is to
Hmm.
get your advice as someone who's been trading for a long time, who has experience on both the win and loss side. Can you give folks, I guess, your framework or any quick advice on the idea of money management and risk management so that folks can take that into the future?
Yeah, so um, with margin trading, obviously you've got to understand like how much margin you're putting out there. So say that you normally have I work on a 3% risk. But when you're going into margin trading, it then blows out to like a 10 times that, so a 30% risk.
Mm-hmm.
So, you need to do, if you're going into a bigger position, you need to understand that there's going to be a bigger loss, and that's inevitable in margin trading, and you can very quickly blow your like whole stack out in that small amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you are in a trade and they're going against you, um, I recommend sitting out for a couple of days, just taking a break, getting your emotions back in check, and then coming back into the market and sort of recalibrating and seeing where the market's at, and then re-entering at a safe point. So supports and resistances are always safe points for new traders.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so even I've taken off time in the last probably month where I took a week out because I was like 3 big losses in a row because Bitcoin was so volatile.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think there was not one person that could say that they didn't lose a trade. So, and
Yeah,
if they
with
did say
purpose.
it, they're lying.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I set out, I sort of watched the market for a bit and I went, okay, I'm good to go. I'm going to jump back in now. I've re-looked at this and I think I've got my emotions in check and yeah, this is it. But when you're starting to get emotional on a trade, that's the time to stop that trade. Emotions don't belong in trading.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's even harder in crypto because people have an emotional connection to the money that they have spent on the crypto, but also the idea behind the crypto that they are investing in.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it difficult sometimes to make good decisions. I feel the same way about myself sometimes.
Yeah, it does. Especially, there's a lot of people that have a favorite coin or token as well, and they get so passionate about it. So it's
Hmm.
it's really hard to cut a trade if you're like, no, it's going up. I know it's going up, and
Yeah.
but it just keeps going down, and it's like, so yeah, you really have to have that reality check that okay, this is at the end of the day money, and as much as I love this coin or token, I've got to look at what's happening in the market. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so much less cut and dry than this, but I always say it's like I love the coin, but I like eating and paying my mortgage more, you know?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So
Yeah.
I agree totally on that. It's like, yeah, I like paying my bills. So,
Yes, precisely.
yeah.
Precisely. And so the last thing that I wanted to ask you is for brand new folks, other than obviously test nets, are there any
Hmm.
particular resources like reading or, the very bare bones beginner material for folks that want to get into trading but just haven't been able to make the plunge to learn things like supports and resistance or what margin trades are versus what, different types of trading are?
So there's a website called Investopedia, and it
Hmm.
has everything that you need to know. So it's got candles, it's got support resistance, it's got divergences, it's got Elliott wave. It's pretty much got everything on there. So
Beautiful.
you jump onto Twitter, follow, ask around who search crypto Twitter, and you'll find all the traders,
Hmm.
and then all the other traders will probably say, follow this one, or you just ask. That most people on there are really happy to help,
Hmm.
and you'll get a good following. And then we all talk about different things. So I'll talk about MAs and EMAs and support and resistance, and you can go to Investopedia and you can find out what all these things are that I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So moral of the story, follow Lisa on Twitter
Yes,
and
follow Lisa on Twitter.
and check out Investopedia. And of course, the moral of the story here is, if you're in a region that supports it, unfortunately, not the US and not in Canada at this point, but places in Europe and Asia, etc., check out PrimeXBT, an exchange, check out the Covesting platform. And of course, leave me comments down below. I'll share them with Lisa, share them with the PrimeXBT team if you have questions. And of course, Lisa, it was an absolute pleasure for having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll have to do it again soon. We'll dig into a trading topic specifically.
Yeah, definitely. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, folks, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day/evening, and I'll see you on the next one.